What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. How are you guys doing today? In today's video I wanted to talk to you about training schedules. Whenever you want to make training more efficient and plan for a bigger event, or just simply want to get better over time, it does make sense to do this systematically. So today I simply want to introduce you to this plan I made for the upcoming 28 weeks. I'm already 3 months into the program, so I got some confirmation that my plan is working, at least for me. So I simply want to show you how that looks like and how I started out planning this. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so don't freak out. I'm gonna explain every little detail of what you're seeing here. I know it's colorful and distracting and confusing, but I'm gonna make it as simple as possible. I want to talk to you about 5 principles that are important when you start training, and they're gonna come each after another, just simply by showing you what I have in mind. When I started, I figured out that by the end of October I could run a marathon. And then I simply made a plan to go through these weeks, day by day, and set out a plan that my physiotherapist approved and that made me the best runner I could be in this short amount of time. So first thing I want to talk to you about is cycles. There is what is called a macrocycle, a mesocycle, and a microcycle. What does that mean? Well, I'll start backwards. A microcycle is simply 1 week of training. And that's what you can see here. Week 1 and then Monday through Sunday. And as you can see here, the first weeks for me were all about stability. So core strength exercises. I talked to you about these in the past video. These were just simply very important for me to get the strength and the core stability to actually be able to run. My physiotherapist said that if I don't feel any pain in my knee or anywhere else, I could do some easy jogs, and that's what I did twice a week. Some easy 5 kilometers or 4 kilometers. And just to keep track of how much I was working out, I also added how much running I was doing. And basically the first 4 to 5 weeks were simply stability exercises every single day. And after 3 weeks, I felt confident enough to add another run. So I started running Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And you already see here that I'm labeling these runs differently. So what you want to do, you want to, and that's the second principle, is you want to alter the type of training you're doing. So to give your body better stimulus, you want to do different types of training. And what I do to keep the impact low on my body, I'm not going straight into hardcore intervals over 9K. I start out with doing some faster paced running. So instead of doing the easy jog, I do a little warm up, and then I start doing my 4K on a more strenuous, tougher pace for me. And for me it was really important to include barefoot running, because I felt that this was something that did very well to my body, to get stronger in the foot, in the ankle, and to keep my running technique more efficient and to land on the midfoot rather than to stay a heel striker. And typically what you see is that if you want to become a marathoner or ultra marathoner, you have to include some long runs. Now a 4K is definitely not a long run, but it's really important to keep the overall distance of your weeks low in the beginning. So as soon as you overtrain, and that can be by distance or by speed, which both increases the intensity of your workout, you injure yourself. And I have no chance of running the marathon in October if I injure myself again. And that brings us to the third paradigm, which is running load, and that's the total run I calculated here, and the increase of distance covered compared to the previous week. So as you can see here, because I was doing the same distance over these 2 weeks, the increase is 0%. And to the next week, adding another 1.2 kilometers is an additional 13 point something percent on the total amount per week I was doing. And there is a rule of thumb in running that you shouldn't increase your distance by more than 10%. But I checked back with my physiotherapist on that, and we agreed that because I was doing a lot of sports, climbing and hiking, and I was a runner 5 years back, that my body would be able to handle a little more load. So we said that I shouldn't do more than 15%, and I planned accordingly. So what you can see here in the gray box, that my average increase in running mileage per week is pretty much exactly 14%. And I'm really confident that I can keep up that increase over time. And by now we are in week 11. Today I just finished my 15K run. Pretty proud of myself because I had never thought the last couple of years with my chronic injury that I would ever be able to run this far again. But my training plan is working. So let's jump back to principle number 1, the cycles. So we kind of talked about Monday through Sunday, and the next cycle, which is the mesocycle, is about what you do in a month. So since you put a lot of impact on your body wants to heal up at some point. So you not only need to add in some recovery time during the week, but around the 4th week you should drop the intensity of the workout a little. Now, since I'm building up and I don't have that much amount of time, my mesocycles are only in intensity of running. So you won't see that in the distance that I'm running. But for example, the week 9, so 2 weeks ago, I simply reduced the intensity by running slower and skipping a bike ride. Right? So it's just listen to your body. That's maybe the most important thing when you start running or doing another sport where you start to add intensity to your training. That you just simply listen to your body. When you feel fatigue, just don't go full out on the next training, and let your body heal up, because you grow not during the exercise but in between the exercises. Alright, so sorry for jumping around a little bit, but I think you get the most out of it if I talk you through by principles and then adding stuff in what I see and how I feel like this makes most sense to you. So we have the macro cycle, the mesocycle and the microcycle. Microcycle is the week, meso is about a month, and then the macro cycle comes into play when you talk about your year. And for me, this is just simply not important right now because I only plan ahead until the marathon in October, and then we have to see how things are developing, if I'm planning to go further for the 100K right away, or if I just take it easy over winter and then start running more in spring and do some more indoor cycling and skiing or whatnot over winter. So for me it was important to get the micro and the mesocycle in. And the types of running until today are only that I do speed runs, which can be fast pace or tempo runs, where you alter the speed during the workout. Do like 5 minutes of intense running and then 1 minute of just easy walking or slow running, where you can drop your heart rate again and then repeat that over and over again. And soon I will add intervals. tempo runs are also intervals, but I feel like they are even more strenuous because you go full out, like flat out gas, and that to my body feels not right now, because I need to stay healthy, and I don't need to run the marathon as fast as I can, but I want to finish it in good time and healthy. So my focus is still, as you see, more on stability. I do 3 stability and strength workouts per week. I do yoga to stretch out, and I still have at least a day or 2 where I don't do any running, and that's very important to me. So I know a lot of people say, okay, the more you run, the better you get. For me, it's more that you cover enough ground per week, and that has to add up slowly. So what I mean by covering enough ground, you just have to get your mileage in, or your kilometers. So if you want to run a marathon, you should, from what I read and from what I think is right, you should get to somewhat around 40, 50, 60K in per week. And that only comes when you do enough training. But if you split it across 5 trainings or do it in 3, that's totally up to you and how much time you have. So you can see my plan here, and let's just talk about the week I just did. So I started out on Monday, which is a rest day, and I didn't do any running, but I did core strength and leg workout. On Tuesday I did a 9K run with a deep stretch yoga session. On Wednesday I did a short bike ride and another stability workout. Thursday I did my barefoot run. I usually run in my Vibram 5 fingers, but I would like to add more true barefoot running, because it just simply feels like you have to focus more on your technique than running with any rubber under your feet. On Friday I do my long rides on bicycles, so something between 70 or 80, maybe 85, 90K, just to get that endurance in, because the impact on the bike is lower on your joints. I can sustain an endurance ride longer than an endurance run, and that really helps just build up that endurance. And yeah, on Saturday I did a longer yoga session working on my hips and my back, and today was then my 15K run, and as you can see I'm doing something every day, so this is pretty intense. If I accumulate these hours, it's probably a part-time job. So if you don't have the time, or if you're not that dedicated, you definitely need to work on a plan that works for you. But right now I prioritize running to get back in shape, and by that I'm able to sustain this big of a plan. So this is kind of my micro cycle of this week. And we talked about load, and we talked about types of training. So to sum these up, it's intervals, it's barefoot running, it's recoveries. So my shorter rides on a bike are usually my recovery ride after this intense interval or tempo training, and then long runs. And you can measure your intensity either on pace or heart rate. I like to go by pace because my heart rate is really fluctuative and influenced by many factors. So if it's 30 degrees Celsius out here in Vienna, and during summer my heart rate is already 10 beats per minute up without doing any sports. So to compare this to another session, it's kind of difficult, and it also changes with hydration and whatnot. So I usually run by pace. Only when I do long runs, I like to have a glimpse on my heart rate and see if it doesn't escalate to any amount that doesn't feel right, because your long run should feel comfortable. Now, as talking about cycling, this is my cross training. So a lot of people say, okay, when you, especially after an injury, when you start working out again, you should do something that works against the monotony of running, because it's the same movement over and over again, and your body is first of all not used to it, and second might lack some other strength or flexibility, and I compensate that by cycling. So I have the time to work on my quads, my hamstrings, my glutes, my calves, and my overall endurance, and that transfers back to my running without putting the impact on my joints while doing longer runs. And for me this works really great, and I feel like this cycling really also helps clean up the lactate that builds up after my Tuesday runs, which are the intervals. And yeah, so I think if you want to start planning something like this, you should focus on events that you have in mind. If you do, because if you see my plan here, I already in week 15 have the total amount of kilometers I run at about 50, which is what I'm planning to keep up during the next weeks, and then just add some intensity to the workouts. And because I've never run any event before, it was really important for me to figure out how all this stuff around an event would work. So where do I get my bib number? How does tracking work? How do I feel when the gun goes off? And to experience that, I signed up for a half marathon here in Austria in week 23. So I have enough time to adjust my training afterwards, or to just simply recover, because it's a race. You want to go the best you can, and yeah, that should get me set. Now what you see here, maybe we should talk about that. That's week 16. I felt like my mesocycles aren't allowing my body to heal 100%, and I just felt that after 4 or 5 months of training, 4 months exactly, I should give my body full rest, get it some time to recover, and then come back even stronger. Just 1 second, last thing before we close this off, because it's already gone pretty long. I track everything I do on Strava, and you can follow me on Strava. Just click on the link in my channel, and yeah, the trend is your friend, as a lot of sportsmen like to say. And yeah, the trend of my fitness, my overall fitness, is going up, and I'm gonna make a separate video out of this, but this really helps me see how I'm evolving. And as you can see, I started basically from zero, and these were the past 2 months where I really started tracking and planning my workouts. And yeah, I've come to notice that by a good tapering before my event, I should be in really good form. Now, what fitness, fatigue, and form means is, as I said, another topic. But I just wanted to show you that you can actually see what's happening here with my fitness, kind of matching the overall distance I cover. So these increases in distance and intensity also just mirror back on the fitness. All right, I think that should get you set. If you have any questions, how I started, what kind of readings I got to get me started on planning my training, just hit me up on the comments below. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. I'm always happy to see more people following my journey. And yeah, talk to you soon. Enjoy your days out in the sun. It's summer. Bye bye.